Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new video, and for this video you will need to know where your Venus is placed. If you don't know where your Venus is placed in the Vedic astrological chart, not Western, because I'm into Vedic astrology, and I usually talk about my perspective of Vedic astrology, more not really Western astrology. So to see your Vedic astrology chart, make sure to check the link in the description to get your astrological chart, okay? So in this video, we're going to be speaking about relationship problems seen through Vedic astrology. And basically, to know if someone or if you will have relationship problem is seen through Venus. Why? Because Venus represents your approach towards relationship and how you deal with relationship and how you feel about it, okay? So when Venus is in a damaged sign or debilitating in your birth chart, it causes problems in relationship, okay? So let's speak the signs. Enemy signs of Venus, which is Aries, Scorpio. Because why? Because those two signs are ruled by Mars, and Mars don't really know how to handle relationship, okay? The next sign, Venus in Virgo, where Venus is actually debilitated, okay? And it's ruled by Mercury. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury in the sign of Virgo is very critical. So Virgo is a very critical sign. And relationship is not about being critical. But let's dive in a little bit more about this subject, okay? Let's go one by one. When Venus is in Aries, okay, a person will tend to be very selfish in love. Why? Because the sign of Aries is about the body, the self. And relationship is not about that. The relationship is about compromising between two people and understanding their differences, okay? That happens, the positive, what I just explained, happens when Venus is in the opposite sign of Aries, which is Libra, which is Venus' own house. But when Venus is in the opposite sign of Aries, Venus loses his significance because Venus is getting its significance the opposite. Now it's forced to go in the body instead of finding pleasure in another person, which is relationship. They find pleasure in themselves. So what happens is when Venus is in Aries, these people become very impulsive in love without actually knowing the person. Okay, and they become very aggressive. You could say that, and they tend to get in and out of relationship a lot. Okay, because Aries is very impulsive, and they keep falling in relationship without actually knowing the person. And these people, when Venus is in Aries, they look for the finest person, like the best looking person, the person with the very macho man ego, like with a high ego, you know. And that's what Venus is weak in Aries, because love is not about the physical, okay? So, and Aries is about the body. So they find pleasure in the body. So when a person has Venus in Aries, a person will be attracted to a very, you could say, beautiful person in society, okay? That take care of their body a lot. Okay, let's speak about Venus in Scorpio, another sign ruled by Mars. Well, the problem with this sign when Venus is here is that Scorpio is about digging deep and going very deep. It's a water sign, so it's about going deep, and it's dark. Okay, so when somebody has Venus in Scorpio, when they fall in love or when they see somebody they like, they give them too much emotions, too much. They give their all without actually knowing who that person is, if that person is the right person. Okay, that's why the opposite sign, Taurus, is more slow, and Venus like this, because relationship is about going slow and getting to know the person. Okay, but when Venus is forced to live in the opposite sign, which is Scorpio, problems. Okay, because they give too much. Scorpio always opposite, they contradict themselves. You can say, okay, like Venus in Aries is the body, the self. Venus in Libra is the opposite, it's the other person, finding pleasure in another person. So Venus in its old sign is good, but when it's in the opposite of that sign, it brings trouble. Okay, so that's what happened with Venus and Scorpio. They give too much without actually knowing, and when it breaks up, they start breaking down emotionally. They start cracking down, and they don't know what to do, and it's just a mess. It's crazy. They go wild, you know. And let's go now to when Venus is debilitating the sign of Virgo. So when let's say you have Venus in Virgo, or you know somebody, what happened? Okay, they become very critical of people and themselves, and that's what happens. That's the problem. You gotta learn to love yourself first, and then love other people. You need to find happiness with yourself, love other people. That's why in the opposite sign where Venus is excelled, which is Pisces. So when Venus is in Pisces, a person loves themselves and love the people around them and love this universe. Okay, that's what happens. But when it's forced to live in the opposite sign, which is debilitated, which is Venus and Virgo, they become very critical. They see everything as a conflict and a problem. Because why? The sign of Virgo is about conflict, it's about problems, it's about digging deep, it's about looking at the problem and fixing everything. So they see it as relationship that it needs to be perfect, and this is where things get messed up. And the person with Venus and Virgo, they get very critical, and then they start looking. Oh wait, they start thinking, look, what do you really want from me? They become very realistic about relationship, okay? Because they get tired of going through these ups and downs. This romance. They get tired of that. So what happened with Venus and Virgo, they tend to lack that nourishment, that self-nourishment. And because nobody, they feel like love is not real. That's what they feel. Okay. So might as well just get something realistic that will provide me. Okay. Something more practical that will provide me in my life, that will help me rise in life. Because Virgo is an earth sign, and Venus doesn't, then that earth sign about conflict, it's not good. Okay, so another way to see if a person will have a lot of relationship problems is by looking at their seventh house. Why? Because seventh house represents relationship, represents your marriage, represents your spouse. Okay, and when there's a bad malefic planet in there, it causes problems. Planets like Rahu, Ketu, and Sun. And when a planet's sitting there, that's debilitated. Why? Because when a planet is there that's debilitated, no matter if it's Jupiter or Venus, when it's there, it's not strong. It's not strong, the planet. So it will bring, bad results. Ketu, when it's there, it detached. Why? Because in your past life, you already experienced relationship. So when Ketu could give you a good spouse, but yet you will question, I'm not comfortable. I'm not feeling it. Because why? You had enough in past life. If Rahu's there, Rahu's going to give you a lot of relationships. Why? Because you're not satisfied. Rahu always want more. He's never satisfied. Rahu, they obsess about other people too much, and relationship just, come and go. One person come, bye. Another one, Rahu. That's what Rahu does. Sun. Why Sun is not good? Well, when Sun is in the seventh house, your ego is so hot that it is burning. Sun burns most of the house where it sits at. And some house does good and it does bad in some house. But in the seventh house, it actually burns, it damages that house. Okay. So what happened is that you get into ego battle. Because why? You're so egoistic. And your spouse will be so egoistic as well, because it's sitting in that house. The seventh house is the actual body of your spouse. So when it's sitting there, it's bringing you ego spouse as yourself. So there's going to be a lot of ego battle between you and your spouse. Okay. And if you have these, planets there, or if you have a damaged Venus in your birth chart, that doesn't mean that you're going to continue having bad relationship. Okay. You need to look at the Navamsha, because the Navamsha is like the final results of the lessons that you will, that you have in this life, the lesson that this universe is giving you, is seen through the birth chart. But the Navamsha will tell you how you react, okay? And how you know, will take these lessons to become the person you will need to be. So that's like the future. You get it's basically seeing yourself. So if the Navamsha, if you have a well-placed Venus, if it's in its own sign, like Libra, Taurus, or Pisces, then you will have a better approach to relationship in the future, okay? So yeah, stuff like this, don't worry if it's damaged in the birth chart. It matters in the Navamsha, because that's the way you will react, okay, to those conflicts, okay? So yeah, this is how you see relationship problems through Vedic astrology. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Do it. Subscribe right here. Look, just click. Boom. Welcome to my channel. All right, peace out, guys.